Just as Iran and Israel managed to humiliate Trump on the world stage, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell just destroyed Taco's economic policy in a public hearing. So Taco's cranky day just got even crankier. I'm David Reddish. Welcome back to Occupy Democrats. In case you missed it this morning, Donald Trump woke up to discover that the ceasefire he allegedly brokered between Iran and Israel had fallen apart. And it only took a few minutes to do it. Confronted by reporters, Trump had this to say.
You know what, we basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Do you believe this?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that.
He doesn't look too happy, does he? It gets worse, so stick around. In addition to the war in Iran, Trump has also been fighting a war here at home over his asinine tariffs, specifically with Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. Trump has been demanding Powell lower interest rates, which Powell thus far has refused to do. Powell also has called out Trump's tariffs as a major reason not to lower rates. Here's what Powell had to say last week.
At this meeting. So, and those things are probably slow moving. So I think if you look at what's happening here, since March, this is since March, right? You see a little slower growth, just a tiny tick up, a 1/10 tick up in unemployment, and you see inflation moving up 0.3. And by the way, it was a similar move from the December SEP to the March. So that's what you see. You see the effects of tariffs. I think we learned in April, after the March meeting, that substantially higher tariffs were likely. And then since then, the estimates of where the tariffs will be have actually moved back down, although still at an elevated level. So we're adapting in real time. And what you see is an accumulation of individual assessments.
Trump, in response, has floated the idea of firing Powell and replacing him with himself. The legal questions aside, Trump continues to attack Powell.
So we have a stupid person, frankly, at the Fed. He probably won't cut today. Europe had 10 cuts, and we had none. We're going to lose because of this too late. I call him Too Late Powell because he's always too late. I mean, if you look at him, every time I did this, I was right 100%. He was wrong. Maybe I should go to the Fed. Am I allowed to appoint myself, Doug? I don't know.
And it's getting worse. Let it be said that Powell isn't the most charismatic of men. Economists rarely are. But props to him for sticking to principles and not getting steamrolled by Trump's attacks in the media. And now, he's done it again. This morning, Powell testified for 3 hours before the House Financial Services Committee and elaborated on his reasons not to cut interest rates earlier this month. And guess why he didn't? Take a look.
If you just look at the basic data and don't look at the forecast, you would say that we would have continued cutting. The difference, of course, is at this time, all forecasters are expecting pretty soon that some significant inflation will show up from tariffs. Now, and we can't just ignore that. But we're not. We're just saying let's wait and see more. That's all we're doing. And if you will have noticed, a substantial majority of the committee has written down rate cuts in the remaining 4 meetings this year. So it's just a question of being prudent and careful. But at a time when the labor market is still strong, we don't see weakness in the labor market. If we did, that would change things. We're going to continue to adapt as the data adapt. But that is the difference between then and now. Then inflation was forecasted to continue to come down. Here it's forecasted to go up by all forecasters. So, and again, we're not overreacting to that. We're just saying, hey, as long as the economy's strong, we can take a little bit of a pause here. And that's what we're doing. And again, continue to adapt as the data comes in. If we see data that suggests that inflation's not going to produce big increases, that would matter. And if we saw the labor market weakening, that would matter too. But we don't see those things.
So yes, not only did Powell refuse to succumb to Trumpian pressure to lower interest rates, but he also just publicly blamed Donald Trump and his tariffs for the decision. At the time of this broadcast, Trump has yet to respond to Powell's testimony. No doubt he's still stress-eating McDonald's and calling Sean Hannity to complain that being president is hard. But more importantly, Powell's testimony sends a strong message to Congress. These tariffs are not having Trump's desired outcome. They're just screwing up supply chains, corroding relations with our foreign trading partners, and making costs rise. Manufacturing jobs are not coming back here, and even if factories somehow did, they would be automated, because most Americans cannot afford to pay for products like cell phones if they are only manufactured in the US. Something Trump has said would be made here if his tariffs go into effect in the long term. Look, we're teetering on a precipice here. Between Trump's tariffs, his budget bill abomination, and now the war in the Middle East, which is likely to affect the cost of oil, mind you, the US could be heading toward a major economic disaster. The solution, as Powell implies, is simple. Stop with the tariffs. Axe Trump's budget bill in favor of a proposal that protects Medicare and Medicaid and other social safety programs and actually raises taxes on the super wealthy to reduce our deficit. These are common sense reforms that would help the U.S. taxpayer and the U.S. economy. And even if Republicans are still too spineless to pass something so obvious, at least Powell has afforded them the cover they need to push back on Trump's tariffs. It's time to end the trade war. Trump economics are a failure. Let's not fail any further, shall we? This is Occupy Democrats.